So, welcome everybody to yet another live interview show with Become a Fearless Father. And today's guest, Andrew Pabia, who has an amazing story. And the funny thing is, I saw this guy react to a post of a mutual guy that we respect in regards to the coaching business. And I was like, dude, this sounds like cool. And then he shared actually with me a story. And I was like, dang, I'm so happy that he said yes, because this story is even more amazing than what I already thought, man. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about, right? So, Andrew, first of all, thanks, man. Really appreciate you being on.
Absolutely.
And let's go right in, right? I always work that way. I always ask a question first, give some value to the people that are in, and then we're going to go into your origin/background story. Is that cool?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right, excellent.
Sounds
so
good.
This is what I see a lot, right? Dads or dadpreneurs struggling and just not getting the right mindset to make it to everything working, right?
Yep.
And then I hear you just mentioning to me, right? I went from broke to six figures in a year while just being utterly connected with my wife and with my son, right?
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I gotta ask you, what was the mindset? Because that's going to be hard, right? So what kind of mindset did you have to adapt to make sure that you were able to achieve this amazing result in a year's time?
Yeah, man. So that's an awesome question. And I don't know if I can answer it without going straight into my background story. Is that okay if I kind of fill in?
Absolutely. Yeah,
okay.
Man. Yeah.
So basically, for me, mindset is everything. 110% of 100% of the results that I've received have been from my mindset. And so I've always been big on mindset from the beginning. And the reason was because, to kind of give you guys some background on me. So I had a kid in high school with the captain of the cheerleading team. She's now my wife. Love her to death. We have a 4-year-old, and my family is everything to me. And we ended up having a kid in high school. And everything ended up being fine. We graduated high school. I don't know how I graduated high school. I think it was mainly because I had good relationships with the teachers. I wasn't really a good student. It was just not an environment that I was really good at learning in. But, I did everything that society was telling me to do after high school. I was going to college full time. I was working full time. I was trying to be a full-time dad. And it all boiled down to one night in November of 2017, me and my wife, we were trying to figure out how we were going to feed our kid the next day. We were dead broke, had no food in the cabinets, had no money for rent. And that night was like kind of my turning point. That was like a rock bottom for me. While everything ended up being fine, it was a feeling that never left me. And it kind of put a burning desire in me to change my circumstances. And so the way it ended up playing out, and this is where mindset kind of comes into it. So I did MMA in high school, and it was a sport that I trained in for a lot of my life. And so I love watching and breaking down UFC fights. And my favorite fighter at that time was Conor McGregor. And this Conor McGregor kept talking about this mystical law of attraction thing. And it sounded so like mystical and stuff at the time, but I was actually interested. I wanted to know more. And so I went and I did some research, found this guy named Proctor Gallagher, Bob Proctor, which is, he talks about paradigms, and he broke down that mystical thing for me. He broke down the law of attraction and broke it down to a science so I could understand it. And basically what it boiled down to is, as kids, your paradigm is your subconscious mind. And as we get older, it becomes harder and harder. It solidifies. It's harder to shape. And as young children, it's easier to mold. So if you grow up your entire life and you watch somebody, the people around you trade time for dollars, that's pretty much your capacity out of life, unless you step outside of your comfort zone and rewire your subconscious brain. And so basically he was talking about affirmations and how if you can convince your subconscious mind first, then everything else will just follow. And so I took that for what it was. I believed it. And I started writing out affirmations. I wrote out a list of goals that I wanted to hit that upcoming year. And I was in a beat up 2003 Honda Accord. Car radio was broken. So I wrote out a list of my goals and I taped it over my broken car radio. So that way I would just see it every time I got in the car. So it was weird at first, but one of those goals was I'm going to hit six figures next year. Like I don't remember exactly how I worded it, but it was something that I said over and over again, along with the other goals. And it seemed so unattainable. In that year, I made like 17,000 in 2017. And so
Mhm.
6 figures was like, dude, that's a crazy jump in income. And so it just didn't make sense, but it felt really weird rolling off the tongue in the beginning. But after, I would just say it over and over and over and over again until it felt like my tongue was going to fall off every time I got in the car. And so after a while, it started to roll off the tongue a little bit easier. And eventually I actually started to believe it. And sure enough, the things just came. I ended up launching my first business, an agency, in January of 2018. And, you know, I went through struggles and stuff like that, but we had it at a 6-figure run rate by over 10K a month by, you know, a few months in. And then a year's time, we were at 6 figures for the year. And then, you know, and earlier this year, we were at like, I was at like 15 to 20K a month. And I was, at the time I was coaching, and I was doing my agency. So I was coaching other agency owners while running an agency. I just, for who I am, and just being self-aware, I know that I really can't be great at one thing. It's hard for me to focus on multiple things. So if I want to be great at one thing, I have to focus. And I made this announcement earlier this year. And I was like, hey, I told my audience, I was like, hey, I'm stopping coaching completely. I'm just going to focus on scaling my agency where it needs to be. And then I even told them my intentions were to come back and serve on a higher level. And so I've been able to do that. I've scaled 2 agency entities to over $50,000 per month, just sold my brand. And so life is awesome for me right now. I'm back in the position that I want to be in, doing what's most fulfilling to me. And I would 100% say that all of that was just me overcoming obstacles within my mind. So, mindset's a huge thing, and the law of attraction is 110% a real thing, and you should definitely be practicing affirmations and things like that. Of course, I couldn't have done it without God. So God's a big part of my life, and I'm always planting seeds to my audience. And I know you said on the last one, for you, it's not necessarily a relationship with God, but it is. How did you say it the last time?
No, it's spirituality.
Spirituality.
Right?
Spirituality.
For me, it's everything, which
man,
basically comes down to the same thing.
Right.
So I'm still on that journey. I actually just had a coaching call today with my coach, right? And I put down for my goal for 2020 to find my spiritual journey. So I'm excited. And one of the reasons for that is these live interviews, talking to guys like you that, just show a certain passion, a certain belief in a higher.
Yeah, man.
I still keep it vague, right?
Yep. Right.
But God in a higher purpose, higher self, etc. Or not higher self, sorry. So a higher purpose, a God, whatever that is for me. So I decided, you know what, I gotta decide to delve into this. I'm ready for that now. So I'm glad you bring that up. As I said, I keep hearing it because I keep saying it is me first, then it's my family, being my wife first and my kid first, and then my fellow entrepreneur dads, right? My fellow dadpreneurs. Right. While everybody else or a large group that I speak with is always God first, and then the family, then wife, then kids, then the business. So yeah, man, I love that. That's great, and it's powerful. Absolutely.
Thank you, brother.
I got a lot of questions.
Good, man. No worries. I got time.
Awesome. And I appreciate everybody that's live. Show some love, right? Make sure that you put some hearts and leave a comment. And even if it's just to say hi, the more people that can come in right now, I mean, I can't believe the gold nuggets that I've learned from all these live interviews. It's insane.
I know, man. I was watching yours with Chad, and you like there is some extreme value spilled on these, and guys, it means a lot to people like me and Klaas to go in and engage, just simply because it shows it to more people, and that's all we're trying to do is get our message out further into the world. And so, if you can help us do that, God bless. But yeah, man, super excited for everything to come in the next in 2020. I can't believe 2019 is almost over.
Right? What's up, Chris? Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. What's up, my man? Appreciate that, man. So absolutely, man. Let's talk about that as well, dude. Did you already plan your 2020? Are you working on it? Are you thinking about it already? What's your strategy or your approach to plan and to prepare for a new year?
Yeah, man. So my plan is to just buckle down and do everything that needs to be done to hit 7 figures. Just
Mm,
focus all year, but do it, hit 7 figures doing something that's fulfilling to me. So that's my goal
nice.
for 2020.
That's wow. Gave me goosebumps. I love that goal. That's awesome, man. Basically, especially what you said, right? To do something that I love doing and
Right.
making money. It's actually what I've been talking about today. It's like, no, sorry, yesterday. Do you focus on money or do you focus on value? And it was very dual. Like some said
Right.
money, others said value, and others said both. And I'm like, yeah,
Dude,
it is.
I've found that the more value that I'm able to bring to the world, when you make value like your sole goal, when that's what you're doing it for, the money just comes as a byproduct.
Mm,
So just focus on bringing as much value as possible.
exactly.
That'll be well, man.
So no, absolutely, you're absolutely right. That's why I kept saying, like, I focus on value, knowing that the money will come,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Which is stressful in the beginning. Man, I had to learn that lesson so hard because I was focused on the money. Because that's why it's good to talk to you, because you've not been as I haven't been, or I'm not in a bad situation as you. But when there's money and you're like, Christmas is coming up right now, and I just sat on Amazon looking with the kids like what they want to buy, and I'm like, oh crap, don't choose that because it just I can't buy it, right?
Right.
$100 Playmobil fortresses, and I don't know, whatever. I'm like, I can't buy that yet, dude. Just give me a second, right? But that's so nice. It's like, okay, now I can't focus on the money. I can't focus on the money so I can buy something. I got to keep focusing on the value, and the rest will come. And it's absolutely happening. So I love that, man. Let's see. Yeah, you mentioned obstacles of the mind, right? You went through a situation where you were like back against the wall. It's like, man, it can't get worse, right? You can't pay the rent, no money for food, etc. Right? And then you had that flip. I always ask because that's an extreme situation.
Yep.
Most people don't get into the extreme situation, and what happens is they go through life what I call as a zombie dad, right? They just go through it thinking that they're safe and happy and etc. And actually, probably by the time that they're 70 or 60, they're like, oh crap, right? So, what will your advice be? What will be a good strategy for those people to turn it around and do something wonderful as you're doing and making a huge impact in the world and in their own lives, right?
Right. Yeah. So, you mean the people that haven't hit rock bottom? Because a lot of people, yeah. Because I heard something. I don't remember exactly how the saying went, but I'm going to leave it out for now, just because I don't know exactly how it went. But it was something my principal said a long time ago. Basically, the C students, the average guys, are the ones who end up getting the worst end of the stick. But you have to want to make a change. Now, whether that's from hitting rock bottom or just simply being unhappy with your circumstances, you need, like, if you want to get to another level, you just have to be willing to get uncomfortable. Every like growth in life comes from just getting uncomfortable. I've done so many things that have made me uncomfortable, but I've learned so much from it, and I've gotten so much exposure from it. For instance, like speaking on the news. I've spoken on the news a few times. I was like shitting bricks right before getting on the news. I was like, but I got up there. I took a deep breath, and everything went perfectly. Like there was no reason to be, I don't know. And just getting to speak in front of, I had my first speaking gig in the Bahamas earlier this year.
Nice.
To a live audience. And that was really cool. And that was a new experience. But these are things that I was not comfortable with, but you have to challenge yourself, especially when you get these kind of opportunities. I just look at it as things that one, social proof I can collect, and two, an experience that allows me to grow. But yeah, just don't be satisfied. If you want to reach somewhere, my biggest piece of advice is find somebody who has already done it, and just do what you have to do to become a part of their circle. So bring value to that person's life. Try to get in their circle somehow, because you're the average of the 5 friends you hang out with the most. So people rub off. 110%. Like one big key thing for me is I kept finding myself stuck at a certain income, and it was because of the people that I surrounded myself with. So there was a period of time where I went 6 months and did not talk to any of my friends, hardly talk to my family, and I was just simply making relationships online with people who thought bigger. And so it allowed me to kind of expand my capacity of what I expand, what I think I'm capable of.
Yep.
And so these things just started becoming easier, and like it just, the results just came.
Nice. That's one of the things that I was struggling with in the beginning is you have your group of friends, and now I always tell everybody I don't have any friends except for online.
Yeah.
But how do you? I was struggling with saying like, look, I understand the whole concept of I gotta find a new environment. I gotta create a new environment. However, it was so hard at the beginning to say goodbye to that old environment, right? Whether that's them or me, but I'm going to assume that, no, I'm not assume anymore. I assumed it was always them. Now I just say it's me, right? It was my choice. Now, how do you get your mind right to decide like, okay, I got to do this? And then also, how do you make that workable for yourself, right? To let that go. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's not about having your mind right. You just have to do it. Like one thing that you hear this massive action thing all the time in the entrepreneurial community, and it's a true thing. Like you have to take massive action, and specifically on the things that you're going to do imperfect. Like nothing that you do is going to be perfect, especially the first time around. But if you can just take action and do it, then, I think really it doesn't, like, there's no way that you can kind of prepare yourself for that. You just you have to do it. And so even if that means like making what it is that you're trying to do clear, like, I explained to a lot of people in that time that like, hey, look, I'm just taking a step back and focusing on myself and trying to make, get myself to a higher level. Mm-hmm. And eventually I did, like I hang out with my friends and family all the time now, but, definitely negative mindsets rub off. You don't want to be hanging out with a ton of people who are just, you get around each other, they want to talk shit about other people and things that really, don't help anybody or even break people down. You want to get around empowering people that are always thinking big and outside of the box. So
absolutely. Yeah, I like that. So let me ask you this then, because you talk about massive action, right? And I'm absolutely agreeing with that. What do you do to make sure that you know that you're going to have like a real productive week? What's your approach?
Dude, for me, that's one thing that I haven't mastered is I always have productive weeks, but it's not like I say, hell, like I'm not very organized. It's just one thing that I lack. I'm self-aware. I know that I'm not organized. Something that I'm trying to get better at. Now, when I was in the peak of my agency and I was slammed with sales calls every day, one thing that I was doing was trying to optimize my performance in every way. So eating very clean. I was waking up early in the morning and just performance things like that. And, making sure I was getting enough sleep. All of that stuff was extremely important. But, it's about consistency and being able to do it over and over again. Mm-hmm. I know I'll get it down and perfect eventually. But, I go into swings and I come out of swings and I have kicks and then I come off of kicks, and it's just a part of it for me. I've always struggled with ADHD. And so, I'm not sure if that's like I've been able to overcome what I've overcome with it. So I don't think it's like I don't use it as a crutch or anything like that. But I just know, like, and you just got to know yourself and do what you have to do to get the things done for the week, man. For me, that sometimes is locking myself in a room for 12 hours. You know what I mean? And just no contact with the outside world. Just depends. You just got to know yourself.
Exactly. I've understood that ADHD is a good thing because most successful guys that I've seen, like Dean Graziosi, for example, he writes in his book that he has ADHD, and all the teachers were complaining about it. And he's like, man, it's a gift. I'm using it now and to freaking be one of the most successful people on the planet. So,
dude, yeah, man, because the thing about me is I have a lot of friends who are really big in multiple things. But ever since I was a kid, it was just one thing. And I've recognized that about myself. And if I go all in on one thing, I can be great at it. So there was a time in my life where I was doing MMA. That was like the one thing that I was perfecting all the time. Now I have that skill for the rest of my life, even though I'm not sharpening it now. It's something I was really good at. Lifting weights. Like there was a year span where all I did was lift weights, and that's what I obsessed over. And I gained like 20, 30 pounds of muscle in that time, and was huge. Had people asking me if I was doing steroids, but but I had these shifts. Like I go into something else. So like, I think my true passion is entrepreneurship. It's what I've obsessed over since I got started, but mainly because, well, now it's, I love getting results for my students, but before it was just, I was in love with the idea of making a better way for my family, for my kid. And that's kind of what fueled me to do what I've done.
Nice. So let me ask you that then, because that's where I've noticed that a lot of the entrepreneurs are struggling, right? They're trying to build out that business, make a huge impact in the world, and then they get disconnected from their wife, from their kids, right? So what was your approach to make sure that didn't happen?
Yeah, man, it certainly happened. Like, it's just something that you'll have to get better at over time by, like what Chad said, compartmentalizing it and I'm still not the best at it right now. But the thing is, you have to let your kid know and your wife know, hey, this is what's important. And I'm doing this now so that we can live a much better life in the future. And that was one thing that I struggled with in the beginning was I would work like, dude, getting my business off the ground. Like I'm talking before we ever got to enjoy the fruits of what I was building. Like I was trying to explain to her, look, this is my vision. Like I want to be able to give you guys these experiences. And I don't want to, 90% of the reason people get divorced is because of financial issues. Like I don't want that to be an issue in our relationship. The issue was like, I was spending too much time doing the work, but I was like, listen, if you can bear with it for now, just weather the storm with me, I promise you I'll make it worth it. And so I have. Like my girl's been able to travel more in this past year than she has in her entire life. I've been able to travel more. I've been able to give both my kid and her amazing experiences. And so I don't know, man, I'm just super blessed. It just, just super, grateful for where I'm at.
I love it, man. Love it. So did you take them with them? Did you take them with you to the Bahamas when you had a speaker?
That was last minute. So,
okay.
That was last minute. I wasn't able, but she came to Vegas. We went to Cancun for 14 days earlier this year. So it was amazing. 14 days on vacation is a long time. Like no joke. It was so, dude, especially when you're running a business, like my goal was don't mess with any business stuff for 14 days.
Okay.
And with my mind, dude, oh my God.
Yeah.
The longest 14 days of my life. I loved it. And we had amazing experiences. It was an amazing time with my family. I got to unplug and we needed it. But on day 4, I was like, oh my God, we're still here. We got 10 days left. And so, it was awesome.
Yeah. The kids here got 10 weeks of summer vacation. And my wife, so it's me that takes care of the kids and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just like, dude, how do I, because you get all the, right, when it's calm and relaxed, that's when you get all these crazy ideas in your head. Yeah. Crap. So I was walking around with a pen and paper all the time. Just go,
yeah, man.
Names pop up, right?
Yeah.
Steve Larson, shoot, gotta get contact. That sounds awesome, dude. And it's like that. And my kids are there, like, come on, let's play. Yeah, well, give me a second. I gotta write something down. But yeah, I can definitely understand that. But it's awesome that you get to do that now with them, right? That's you look back at that saying like, look, we had nothing, and now it's like, boom, we're just here, and we can really start enjoying life, right? That's beautiful. And last quick question before we run out of time. What can I ask? Know yourself. That's a very big one. You mentioned that. See, I understand. I was looking for the word that I put some lines on, and that was the one. Know yourself, right?
Yep.
That's a big one. That's huge, and hardly any person, I would say dad or man, but any person does that, right? I think because they're scared, but that's my opinion. And I don't want to put that on you. But what was your approach, and what is your approach? Because I think it's a continuous journey, right? Mm-hmm. What's your approach to get to know yourself better every single day?
Just try, like I said, I would round that back out to taking massive action and just doing things so that you can learn, whether you're good at it or not, whether you have a natural knack for it. Mm-hmm. If you don't, like how you can make yourself better. And then, it is just a continuous learning. I mean, it's all a trial and error. That's how you're going to continue to learn yourself. So try as many things as possible. experience as many things as possible. If you want to get better in a specific thing, start to recognize where you lack and start working on those things. And yeah, that's a key piece of, because there's a lot of people, who have a problem, but they don't recognize the problem. And for that reason, they're not ever able to overcome, their circumstances. And so knowing yourself is a very, very important piece to achieving what it is that you want to achieve.
Exactly. I started saying fear is the way, just because it's called Become a Fearless Father. But yeah. I started to notice like where I felt most fear and most friction of doing it. I started to think like, okay, that must be the one thing that I must do. If it's not to become successful, it's to just grow myself.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right, man. Andrew, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much again for being on the show. Everybody else, thank you. If you're still live, make sure you hit that like, heart button, write a message. If you just hopped on, make sure you watch the whole thing, because again, ask every single
bombs, baby.
Exactly. That's what's up. So make sure you watch that. Appreciate all of you. If you're watching the replay, links are in the description section so you can check Andrew out. Because of time, I didn't ask that, but there's links in there. Check him out. And if you have any questions for him, I'm sure he would love to answer them himself. Correct? All right, cool. All right, everybody. Amazing day. I'll talk to you all very soon. Take care.